Now today's video is all about starting calisthenics if you have lots of strength already. So if you want to do things like crow to handstand, handstand push-ups, if you want to do press handstand, if you want to do planches and everything in between, all the calisthenics skills that look really cool, come from a strength background, so you're nice and strong, but you've not really done bodyweight strength, this is for you. Now there's two main differences between standard strength training and calisthenics bodyweight strength. Number one, majority of the strength training movements are open chain. Now open chain means that I'm moving the thing about. So if I'm doing dumbbell curls, I'm moving the dumbbell. If I'm doing a bench press on the floor, my body stays still, but I move that dumbbell. Where with bodyweight strength exercises, it's a closed chain environment, which means that I keep the thing I'm pushing against still, but I move my body. See, my body's moving, but my hands are staying still. I'm not pushing the floor. I'm not that strong. So you're actually using your muscles the opposite way around. That's 180 degrees out of phase. So if I'm doing chin-ups, I don't move the bar like I do in a lat pull down. I move my body to the bar. So if I want to get better at chin-ups, I'm better off training a closed chain movement, not a lat pull down. If I want to get better at handstand push-ups, I'm better off training closed chain movements and not a overhead press. Especially for you guys who already have that strength. You're strong with a barbell, you're strong with a dumbbell, you're strong with a kettlebell, or even you're strong with the machines. Now when it comes to machines, they're great for bodybuilding because we can use a lot of weight and we can create a lot of focus on the target muscles, so they're great for bodybuilding. But the downside of that is the machine's doing lots of the stability work for you, and the opposite is true with calisthenics and bodyweight strength. If I do a handstand push-up, I need to be able to control my body in space and time. I need a great connection from the hands all the way to the feet, not only in that top position, but all the way down, like so, to this bottom position. I need to have focus now and have that connection from the hands to the feet to be able to come back up again with control. You're not going to learn any of that from using machines. Now, if we are someone who's stronger and you have that strength background, it's likely that your mobility is not going to be fantastic. You're going to be a little bit more muscle bound when you do the exercises. So someone who's only practiced yoga and has great flexibility, but they lack strength, is going to need a different setup for the calisthenic exercises than the person who's very strong who lacks mobility. Basically, we need to create more space in the positions to allow you to use your current strength. And then as your flexibility gets better, we can slowly tidy it up and make it cleaner. So a good example is the handstand position. If I want to go into a handstand and I'm muscle bound and my position looks like this, I actually need my hands this wide apart. So I'm actually going to balance like this, and then notice what's happened with the arms when I'm in my balance position. They're slightly bent. Look at the rest of the body as well. See how that's slightly open? So not only in the legs, but also the spine, so I'm a little bit more bananaed. But that's realistic if my overhead position looks like this. So the person that has the strength background who's a little bit tighter needs to take the hands wider, needs to turn the hands out more. And if they're doing strength exercises, press handstand, handstand push-ups, planches, levers and things like that, we're going to even go a little bit wider. So my handstand balance position might be here. My handstand push-up position might be here. So now I've got more space to come up and down. Try not to lose the hat. And exactly the same for my planche position. I might externally rotate more, have the hands a bit wider, which creates a bigger space to fit. So then when we're looking at our progression, so let's take the handstand push-up for example. No matter where our level is at, we want to try and hit those closed chain movements, and we need to try and use that more open position to fit our current level of mobility, flexibility, strength and balance. So we might start with something like a pike push-up. So if we're nice and strong, we can probably already do dips. But when we think of something like dips, we better actually check that we can get full range of motion. Because if we come from a strength background, we've probably done more of this type of mobility or range of motion in our dips. But for things like strict muscle ups, handstand push-ups, and other bodyweight strength skills, we actually want to go from this top position, so nice and open, all the way down to a very, very deep bottom position that's going to help for muscle ups for the transition. And back up again. So our repetitions actually look like this. So all the way down, all the way back up. Then when we go towards that pike push up, we use that same deep range of motion and we start in this position. Now we might have a bit more of an open body position, because remember, we might not have great flexibility, but I'm going to come forwards all the way down to the head touches, all the way back. And in fact, once we can progress from that, we need to actually go deeper again and use bars or boxes and actually go to a deficit where we, like the dip, we're going to go all the way down here and all the way back out again. But if you look at that closed train environment, our hands are staying still and our body is moving. The pike push-ups, closed chain environment, whether it's on the floor or on the bars. Then we might go to back to or chest to or handstand push-ups. Again, I'm going to have the hands wide. I'm going to turn them out. I'm going to create that triangle position at the bottom of the handstand push-up, and I'm going to open it all the way at the top. And at the same time, I want to be working on my handstand balance so that I can start to control this position and then add the strength work on top until I can eventually move over to the freestanding. But notice all of those exercises, closed chain, they all demand connection from the hands all the way through to the feet. And I'm being realistic in terms of the body position I need by creating more space with the hands, bending the arms and the legs and the body as much as needed. Now, if we look at something like a press handstand, exactly the same things apply. We need to create more space. We need to be realistic with positions. So if I've got great flexibility and I can stack the body really nicely, I can get into like a very compressed position. So the legs and the arms are very close together. I can press very cleanly like so. But realistically, most people aren't going to be able to do that. They're going to have to create a bit more space. And if you have that muscled body position, you're going to be even more spread out. So I'm going to have the hands wider. I'm going to have the knees bent, but the same things apply. Look, I'm going to take the hips on top of the hands, and then from here, I can press up. Look, I'm bending the arms a little bit, but I'm doing a press handstand, and then I'm coming back down again. So exactly the same skill, but I'm using the flexibility, mobility, and balance that I have. Again, it's closed chain movement. If I want to jump up and do something on the bar with a straight arm strength exercise, then I'm going to be pulling my body to the bar and back down. I'm not pulling the bar down to me. Now, if we take something like the press handstand or the handstand push-up, the concentric movements are always much harder. So the pushing up against gravity is going to need a little bit more oomph. So we're going to use a little bit more of our strength to help us up. Whether that's against the wall like this, I put the head against the wall, the back against the wall, I can get up. But now when I come down, it's actually much easier. So what I can do is I can straighten things out and I can demand a little bit more flexibility is used, even if that's really hard now. So then I'm getting the best of both. I'm actually getting up using the strength, using that muscled position where the technique's not fantastic, but then I'm trying to work on a cleaner technique for the eccentric, and I can use that for all of the exercises, whether it's a pike push up, press against the wall. A handstand push up might look like this on the way up, but on the way down, I can try and make it cleaner, even I'm still using a muscled position, back down like so. So using your strengths to your advantage, but also working on your weaknesses is really important. Now, when it comes to working on weaknesses, if we do have that strength background, we need to focus on mobility. So every day in our rest periods, we need to be hitting mobility exercises and stretches that are going to help and take us towards our goals of making things more efficient. So it might just be hanging out in this position, slowly taking the hands towards the foot, and not only doing that on your rest periods, but also throughout the day when you're making a coffee, cleaning your teeth, or watching TV. So prioritizing mobility, range of motion, and also balance. Majority of the calisthenics movements actually need really good coordination and balance. So again, introducing a daily practice towards your handstands, your crows, your frog positions, and learning how to pull in both underbalanced positions like so, and overbalanced positions where I'm going over towards the fingers So you create a really big balance window is going to be super helpful. Now the same progression lines for each of the exercises or each of the skills still applies. And it doesn't matter whether you're more flexible, more stronger, you have a balance background, or you're completely new, but you just need to apply the things that we've spoken about today to fit your current setup and how you attack each progression. If you're after help with your training, check out my app and my website. Links are all down in the description. I've also got my UK workshop coming up in Nottingham in August. Again, details are down in the description. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments, and I'll speak to you guys in the next one.